That's a bucket. The harder it's blowing, the harder they bite. I've been on this lake before, but I might go to some new water. And to break that down, sometimes it helps to just go with just a smaller bait, just to get a feel for what's out there. I'll throw around a little drop shot, kind of a power shot on casting gear. That's kind of a fun program. It's a very get bit program, especially when you're using some smaller baits. So what we have here is a 12 to 8 pound tapered fluorocarbon. You have 30 inches of 12 pound, and then from 12 pound to 8 pound, you have a 70-inch transition, and then the last 20 inches of this leader material is 8 pound. So when tying up a finesse little presentation like this, you know, if you're concerned about line visibility and not holding strength, this gives you the best of both worlds. Sometimes these real fine braids, you need to, I mean, I've had a few of them slip sometimes when I'm using that real small braid and small fluoro, but this totally fixes any of that you would have. This heavier fluoro just 100% ties up much better on a heavier end than it does if I were to tie just straight to a 6 or 8 pound. This would be great for tying FJs. I prefer a Albright in the wind and as far as expedience goes, but that knot right there will do me just fine today. The head on this little BKK, you can see, is kind of textured right there, and that is by design, because this will be floating, and when you're just dragging this over the rock, it kind of just grabs a little bit, grabs and grinds down there a little. So it works quite well with the floating material. It's a little 1/8 ounce, super sharp hook, feathering that through rock and just hopping that along. Sometimes you can see that line just jump. Being able to really see a bite helps a lot. This will be a great rod for detecting light bites. And then we have our kind of our drop shot, power drop shot. We're gonna head out and see if we can't find a few fish. That island extends out. See this rock band? We've driven the boat right over, soft, hard, soft again. Now we'll stop this. What we'll do is I mean, that's just a beautiful summertime spot. You want to look for spots like this in the summer months when the water's hot. Sometimes these rocks can be a good attractant. So what I'm going to do, I'm looking out 100 feet to my right, 100 feet to my left. I'm going to call them all the way up here on the very crown of that rock and take my cursor, drop a waypoint there, go back, we'll drop a waypoint there, go back, and we'll drop a waypoint. Well, we'll just drop a waypoint on the crown of it all the way 100 feet to my left. So I've got a dot dropped 100 feet to my left and 100 feet to my right. So that's going to give me a very good starting point to target some casts. We'll drop down live scope and see what we can see here. That's a fish. There is one out on the rock. It appears that there's not many out on the rock, but the good thing about this spot is the rock transitions right into a nice weed line where the largemouth tend to really like to live. Get our hands on that guy. That was on that little drop shot. Got that one right down the pipe on the little duo. hard time saying no to that guy. You get a lot of bites out of one of those baits too. That plastic is pretty darn tough. See you, buddy. Bluegill's pecking. Largie came up and got it. Oopsie daisy. So funny sometimes when you get around those smallmouth or those little small pecking bluegills, the largemouths like to come up and give it a go. It's really weird. It's kind of an interesting thing. If you get around bluegills and they're like pecking at your bait, it's kind of a good thing from what I've seen. A lot of times you just kind of keep holding tight and you can feel those bluegills just machine gunning your plastic. All of a sudden, you can feel like a largemouth comes up and grabs it. It's like a totally different bite. You also have to have kind of a decent, you know, your plastic has to be fairly tough and then secure on your hook. And that's why that red line with that little bait keeper on there, with that material of that plastic, it can take a lot of abuse before, you know, the plastic like slides down the shank of your hook. Bluegills will sit here and peck, you know, they'll sit here and doon, 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 just peck at that tail. But as long as you've made your bait and the hook, everything is lined up correctly, you should be able to take a little bit of abuse from some of those fish, because if your pants are getting pulled down right out of the gate by the first two bluegills, you're never gonna catch the largemouth that comes up and actually eats it. I'm in a 2075 Lund Pro V, and it's a big water boat. So I'm using it to my advantage. It has big gunnels and I can have a very controlled drift. As you could remember, that band of rock we had gone over, the wind's running through that perpendicular to the rock structure. So I've just taken the trolling motor and I'm going up to the top and then just letting the wind drift me back, nice and slow. When I get bit, I can just simply throw the motor into anchor lock. This trolling motor is affixed with a dual band GPS. It's able to very precisely keep me in place. The real true test is when it's real calm and there's not a lot of current and there's not a lot of wind. The dual GPS works really well for that because it's not overcompensating when it gets really calm or you don't have any current or anything like that. So I can just sit right on a spot. If I get bit, throw it in anchor lock and just worry free. Deal with fish, let them go, make that same cast, don't go anywhere, just stay right put. As much as you can run and gun with scoping, you know, and finding hot fish relatively quick, this is like, I know they're here, and when I hook one, I can see like 4 or 5 of them come up and then they go poof, they glue right back down to the bottom. I'm not targeting individual fish. I'm just targeting the rough patches, the rock in there, so I can make my cast right on the money and then work the bait through there, and just kind of have to have faith that they're there, you know. Oh, he's coming up. Little buddy. Yeehaw him up here quick. Switch it up a little bit. Went to the little spinning combo. That is a very, very sensitive combo for fishing a little tiny bait like that through the rocks. Especially when you're fishing through the rocks. I mean, netting and fishing the rocks is kind of goes hand in hand. So having a good sensitive combo to just kind of pick your way through those rocks real gingerly, especially in this heavy wind. Sensitive rod, high vis line, it's just a great little combination. That carbon rod, this is an all carbon handle, fully carbon. That blank goes just about through the whole handle. It terminates about here. There's two different styles. There's the full carbon, and then there's the full blank that goes through all the way through the handle. That material is so sensitive that it just allows you to fish a real light little bait through the rocks real carefully. That one jumped all over it. Switch spots a little bit. Come here, you. The old red line has got him wrangled. Right in the roof of the yap there. Little duo just kind of poking around with the drop shot. I mean, that hook is wicked, I would say. That hook paired with any little plastic with this technique is quite deadly, I would say. I mean, it's nice to use a casting setup too with some of this stuff. I just feel like you can put a little more heat to them and get them out of, whether it's around the cover or rock or whatever, you can just get them up and out of it. The beauty of it is you really can't fish it wrong. You can hop, you can drag it, you can drop it, you can hop it, you can scotch it. It doesn't really matter. There's no right or wrong way to fish a thing. You know, you can fish it on rock, you can fish it through the weeds a little bit, you can fish it in the wood. It's just like, it's endless. You can just blast a cast right into the wind, and that tungsten being on the end of the line transmits super well right through the rod, and it gets a lot of bites. It's just a fun combo to fish right there. That technique, this rod, this reel, this hook is, I can't say enough about that hook. It's like, you can finesse fish something, but yet if you were to get like a big bite, this hook and this whole combo can definitely like handle it. I've caught quite a few fish on this thing, and this is my second one. So for being a little bait, it's quite durable. The little wriggle Ned. Oh yeah, there we go. Get a look at that one. That's a sporty one. Come here, you. Come on. Summertime largemouth. Gosh, when they wad up on a spot in the summer months, it can be pretty fun.